Hello, Teresa Phelps Martin, bringing you the energetic signature for Virgo season. Virgo is all about the body mind connection. And when we understand that the sun is illuminating this energy for us, we can really get a little tidy things up and get a little organized in the way that we want to work with our innermost self. So, just in case you're just tuning in, this is all about living soul centered. This is about using the cosmos to help us feel that deeper alignment with ourselves. We all live under the same beautiful and brilliant sky, but we all have our own arrangement of energy. And something that's come up for me a number of times in this past month is hearing this idea that we're all stardust, that the stars exploded in order for us to be here. So with that, we're saying goodbye to Leo season, the bright, hot, sizzling season of summer, but the sun still shines. And there's this really beautiful way of the way the zodiacal chart unfold, but the sun rules the fifth house of Leo. So the fifth house, so you would have at that like first house, second house, third house, or I guess for you guys it'd be first house, second house, third house, fourth house, fifth house, and Leo rules that. And then next to that is the fourth house, which Cancer rules, which is the moon. The moon rules the house of Cancer, the fourth house. And so you have the moon, you have the sun, and the moon sits here at the bottom of the chart, and then the sun. And then interestingly enough, after Leo is Virgo, and Mercury rules that. And then the planet, that's the planet closest to the sun, right? And then the planet closest to Mercury is Venus, which rules Libra, which is the seventh house. Virgo is the sixth house. And then we have Mars, which is the traditional ruler of Scorpio. And then you have Jupiter, which is the traditional ruler of Sagittarius, the ninth house. And then you have Saturn at the top, at the 10th house. And that's the traditional ruler of Capricorn. And then, interestingly enough, because when this house, these rulerships were created, they didn't know that Uranus and Neptune and Pluto were out there. The world ended with Saturn and its rings. And this is why Saturn has all this energy of limitations and responsibility and time, right? We only have so much time in this body and in this life. So then after Capricorn is Aquarius, and the traditional ruler of Aquarius is also Saturn. And then we have Pisces, and the traditional ruler of Pisces is Jupiter. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to come back. Remember how the fifth house is ruled by Leo, or the sun. It's the house of Leo. The fifth house is Leo house. It's ruled by the sun. And then the fourth house was Cancer. Well, the sign that precedes Cancer is Gemini. That's Mercury. And then the house that precedes that is Taurus, which is ruled by Venus. And then the house that precedes that is Aries, which is Mars. And then the house that precedes that is Pisces, which is Jupiter. And then the house that precedes that is Aquarius, is Saturn. So there's this really beautiful formula to the rulership, and then that goes Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. So here we are, Virgo season. And I had to do this little detailed deep dive because that's all about Virgo. It's organized so brilliantly. That is divine. That is divine. And that is the divine detail of Virgo season. So it's the chance to organize. It's the chance to take care of our health. Like first and foremost, what are you eating? Like if you wanted to make any health changes or change to your daily habits and your daily rhythm, Now is the time. Okay, sure, Mercury's retrograde, but this is a chance to review some of the patterns. A dear friend of mine and I have been laughing. I have blanked out on some very important details of lately in my life. I've like hit a trifecta. I almost impeded my career being able to move forward. But fortunately, I had the signature. And fortunately, the board received that signature. And so now I am officially a licensed professional counselor associate, which is a really big deal, by the way. So I'm going to celebrate my dutifulness and that ability to tidy up. So these little glitches that I've had of missing kind of my minor details that have a huge impact, I'm more aware of right now. So your health, how you want to organize, how you want to tidy things up, how you want to get things together, the structure, and problem solving. Really looking at things from different angles and different energy points. Virgo is an earth energy. It's mutable. So it's adaptable. It can see things in lots of different ways. And it has this ability, the mercurial energy of Virgo, and the way it differs in Gemini, but they have a lot of similarities. They actually square each other. They're both mutable signs. Gemini ends the spring season and Virgo ends summer. Mercury in Virgo energy, which Mercury's in Virgo and Mercury rules Virgo and Mercury is retrograde in Virgo. It's really about going backwards and tracing back and really, it's almost giving us like a redo. It's a beautiful thing. It's giving us this redo so that we can remember how we need to be and what we need to pay attention to and what we need to tap into. So Mercury retrograde isn't all bad. It's a chance to review, to reflect, to rethink, to reconsider, to remember, and just look back over things. Take a little extra time to rethink. And that's great. It's also this chance of looking at how you talk to yourself. Seriously, I'm going to talk about myself for a second, but when I forgot that signature, I bawled, I cried. I woke up in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. crying because I messed up. And I messed it up for the clients that have been waiting for me who agreed like, no, I don't want to work with a different therapist. I want to work with you. And so they were going to have to wait another month, right? So I bawled, I cried. But in that, I was really kind with myself. I actually resolved the situation within minutes of finding out too. So I got a redo and that redo had rewards. So Virgo energy, and this all ties back, like Virgo energy is about personal responsibility. I've been talking about this of lately. It's the daily work. It's our daily effort. It's the way we show up day in and day out to engage in our day-to-day life. Virgo energy is incredibly patient. Wildly enough, you have to be incredibly patient when it's the end of summer because it's still sizzling hot. You move slower. Yes, I'm talking about the Northern Hemisphere because I live in Louisville, Kentucky, and that's just my orientation. I lived on the Southern Hemisphere. I've also spent a good amount of time on the equator. So if you happen to be in New Zealand, where I did live for a year, then you know it's the end of your winter, and you have to be patient at the end of winter. You just have to, right? It's these really extreme parts of our experience on Earth. We're in the extremes of the seasons, right? And so that steady patience is a huge theme this month too. Like we've been planting seeds. Venus will go direct, right? Uranus is going to go retrograde. Pluto's already retrograde. And Mercury goes retrograde, like as I'm recording this, funny enough. So let's beckon and call on the mercurial gods and petition them that this will unfold without a glitch. And Virgo energy is also the healer, right? How do you heal? You show up day after day. It's slow, right? If you've ever had any serious experience with life, it's a slow process. I had to have some testing done with my breasts today, and because it's just always, it's my normal now. When you have breast cancer and you have the double mastectomy, you're gonna always notice everything, and that's it. It's Virgo season, and I don't mess around with that now. Old me would have waited. Oh, I'll just wait and see, wait and see. New me is like, no, my body is talking to me. I take care of it. And that's Virgo. And Virgo is the healer, right? And so the doctor, the radiologist who was looking at everything, he was awesome, amazing, huge shout out to U of L's radiology department, especially with breast health. And great bedside manner, just so kind, so compassionate, and asked me how long ago the surgery was. I was like, a year ago. My last surgery was a year ago. He goes, oh my gosh, still so new. Still so new. 1 year ago, still so new. He goes, I know it feels like it's been a while, but healing takes time, right? Especially when you've had a part of your being removed from your body. You've got to be compassionate and kind. And this is the energy that Virgo can bring. It's the virgin energy, that it's pure and that healing nature. And so it's this chance. Virgo reminds us to clean up the wounds. It doesn't mean the wounds go away, right? I have pride in my scars. They remind me of the warrior I am, even though I'm tired of being a warrior. They remind me. So what wounds do you have? What scars do you have? We all have them. Yoga tells us of some skara, right? The imprints in our being that we slowly practice to help dissolve. I like to say to smooth out, but you can still feel the grooves, right? Have you ever had a raw crystal? Have you ever seen a raw crystal? Okay. I don't know if you can see it, but a raw crystal that has its bumps and its edges and it's really crazy tourmaline is almost like glass. Right? So it can cut, it can point, it's rough. And if you looked at a smoothed out crystal, right? The rose quartz, the heart, you can still see, can you guys see it? I don't know if you can see it. You can still see the grooves, right? The imprints in it. It's not pure, but it is pure. And that's it. That's what we want to be in that place. It's this Virgo energy is so much about this. So if we can be patient, Virgo energy reminds us, sorry about that life unfolds one day at a time. So if you can remember this is going to be so important. And so making our own energy, I got to wrap up because my family's about to come home. Making our own energy a priority every day. So showing up for yourself every day is essential. We're going to have the full moon in Pisces, August 30th. It is a blue moon. It is a full moon. It's going to be beautiful and juicy. It's a blue moon because it's just the second full moon in a calendar month. That's it. Astrologically, it's just a moon, right? It'll be big. It'll be beautiful. Different cultures name the moons different things. And I don't know what Indians call this moon. And then so that's on August 30th at 9:36 p.m., 70 degrees Pisces, which is going to be kind of a heavy energy. There's going to be some melancholy energy because the moon will have just been with Saturn, which is retrograde in Pisces. And Saturn in Pisces is lots of big feelings, all the feels. Everybody's in their feelings. And the heaviness that feelings can be, the heaviness when we don't take personal responsibility for our own emotional well-being and the emotional well-being that we're passing down generation to generation. I'm looking at you all and nodding my head like this because it's really, really important. And I believe that this moon will illuminate what we need to address. For ourselves, our world starts with us. So if you had one wish for yourself, if you had one wish for your family and friends and loved ones, and one wish for the world, right? That's Saturn in Pisces. How are you showing up from that? And maybe you make a wish for the world as a whole, but are you living that? That's the responsibility. And that full moon is going to really be strong in this place, but it's also a chance to feel like a soul strength, a soul courage, a soul confidence, a soulful connection. The new moon that happened in Leo was all about living with purpose and intentionality, living from our heart. So this full moon is really in this place, like, what are you digesting? What's at the core? What is the energy that comes when it's put in motion? The emotional jive of it. I really feel like that's the gut. I mean, Virgo rules the gut anyway, and Pisces rules the feet. So what are you digesting and how are you grounding it? How are you bringing your soul to earth? And then the new moon will happen September 14th at 21 degrees Virgo. And that's going to give us that chance, right? That chance to be in relationship with how we're showing up for ourselves, how we're really taking personal responsibility for the way that we live. The great news is that with that new moon, you can join the lunar circle, which will happen September 11th. I'll put the link. It'll happen the Monday before the new moon, and you'll get a worksheet, and it is a limited number of people, and we'll have a chance to connect and work together. So those are the lunar signatures, right? So sign up if you want more information with the new moon. I will do a new moon insights for you. So I'm just not going deep into it right now. But it will be trining Uranus. So you're going to be asked to get out of the box a bit. And its last aspect will make a trine with Pluto, which is really about big change. So those are just like my little teasers, right? Like use that cosmic insight to create the big change. And that's what that new moon will be about. This full moon, I'm going to loop back. This full moon in Pisces, if you looked back at what was going on 18 months ago. So if I could do the math in my head quickly, which I can't. Let's go back 6 months to the spring, was the spring of late February of 2022. My math's not really good. That's one of the things I lost in pregnancy. My ability to count and do math quickly. But the late February, early March of 2022. What was going on for you? And you can look at that, and this full moon will kind of give us insight to that energy. It'll reveal to us what we showed up for. It's kind of cool, really. And the new moon then will happen on September 14th at 9:40 p.m. Eastern time. I always share Eastern time. Everything's going to always be Eastern time from me. So other themes we have this month: Mercury's retrograde, August 23rd to September 16th. It goes from 21 degrees, which isn't that interesting? That's where the degree Mercury went retrograde. That is the degree point that the new moon is happening. So Mercury will still be in retrograde with that new moon, but it'll be coming close. And that Mercury retrograde will be really, really close to the new moon because it goes direct 2 days. No, it won't. It'll be far away from it. Sorry. But it starts Mercury retrograde. Mercury went retrograde at 21 degrees. See, this is my little scattered energy right now. So then Mercury goes all the way back to 8 degrees. So Mercury will be at that, that'll probably be at like the 9 degree, no, it'll be at the 8 degree point because it will have stationed. It'll be sitting still, but it'll be in that Virgo energy. So just notice the themes that are going to pop up between this full moon and this new moon, because I've talked about this a few times on the energetic signatures with this ecliptic shift where in the Virgo season, we have the full moon in Pisces happening before the new moon in Virgo. It's really about integrating into this journey. So if you're really showing up and you feel the feels with that Pisces full moon, then look at what it is that you need to let go of, that you know you have to change to take care of your health, like to start something new, because that moon is going to travel from Pisces into Aries, right? And it's going to hit Chiron, and it's going to then move into, and it's going to trine, oh, I'm getting too technical. I'm just going to stop. But it'll go from Aries. It's kind of like this new beginning, right? And so when it gets to Virgo, it's going to tell us something. And we're going to be ready to plant a new seed. I really think it's a gift when the ecliptic orbit flips the lunar cycle like this. So when Mercury is in retrograde, it's all about self-talk. How are you talking to yourself on a day-to-day basis? Are you kind with yourself? Are you gentle with yourself? Are you talking to yourself the way you would talk to a friend of yours? And honestly, this is therapy. Talk to yourself the way you would talk to a friend. Then you're doing therapy to yourself. If you work with a therapist or a coach, coaches can be a little more direct and more challenging, which is fine. As a coach, I'll call it like it is, quickly. Whereas a therapist, I'm going to let you find your way there. It takes a little longer. It can take a lot longer. I really lean into my intuitive hits when I'm a coach. And my intuition as a counselor, I actually see that bookshelf over there. I set things on it, and then when it's ready to get pulled off the shelf, it will surface. Okay. So you're going to look at that inner critic and how much energy are you giving that inner critic? So do this with me real quick. Bring your hands onto your head and just think about breathing up into your thoughts, your mind. And then as you exhale, you just free your mind. And then bring your hand to your heart and inhale in and just connect to what matters to you. And let go of your attachment to the outcome. And then bring your hand to your belly, to your gut. And then just breathe into that process of noticing and accepting. And then see if you can feel that commitment, right? The fuel. We digest our food to give us fuel. And that's that commitment piece. So sometimes we need to empty our guts. I had a grown man say that, I'm his daughter's therapist. I had a grown man say, maybe I need to empty my guts to you. That's like, oh, slow down. I don't want your guts on the table. But spilling your guts is really, really helpful. So look at how that inner critic is showing up. How are you getting organized? How are you staying focused? A friend of mine are kind of working together because we just really enjoy each other's company, and we can totally distract each other. We feed into each other's procrastination because we value depth and conversation and genuine connection. So we're not answering each other's phone calls right now during the day. Venus in retrograde will end on September 4th. This is a good thing. So if you're thinking about changing something with your hair, your face, you can start to move forward again, right? This is Venus, all things beautiful, all things embellishing, but come back to realizing that Venus, whatever you've been reevaluating within your heart and what matters to you and your relationships and what is of interest, will now move forward, right? So it's going to re-hit that connection. We're pretty much in this Jupiter square for a while. And then it's going to hit the square with Uranus again. And then it'll finally move on, right? And it's going to move. It won't be on and out of its energy that it's been in, this Leo energy, until early October. So it's not everything goes direct, we're done. No, when it's personal planets, there's a space, there's a time to it. Okay. Mars is also in Virgo, and then it moves into Libra pretty early on in Virgo season. And Mars is, okay, Mercury is the way we think and articulate and are schooled. And Venus is our values and our relationships and our resources. And then Mars is the personal planet of our drive and our determination and our direction. So Mars has been asking us to tidy up and take energy and give structure and shape and form to what we really care about and want to move forward with in our life. But Virgo is slow, right? Virgo is slow and steady. So when Mars moves into Libra, it's not in a strong placement. But here's the thing. We'll finally have some air in the sky. And Mars moves really fast through Libra from August 28th until October 12th. It's going to help us understand like how we're choosing, right? And how we're working with all this earth energy. So Pluto's in earth, Jupiter's in earth, Uranus is in earth, Mercury's in earth, the sun is in earth, right? The moon will go into earth every like 8 days, earth energy. And then, we'll keep Venus out of it. But think about that. That's all earth energy except for Venus. And then when Mars moves into Libra. So it's a lot. Well, I guess Neptune's in water and Saturn's in water, right? But that's a lot of earth energy, okay? Lots of feminine energy. So Mars being in this masculine sign, which is good, but in its detriment. It's just as far away from its home as it can get. When I got far away from my home, when I lived in New Zealand on the other side of the world, it was hard, but it was amazing. And that trip was really, that experience was an experience of a lifetime. So glad I chose that instead of starting a strong, solid profession. I created adventure. So Mars in Libra is far away from home, but it gains perspective. And Libra is all about perspective. And Libra energy is, I heard this the other day listening to Rick Levine talking about the scales. And we always think of balance, but Libra is that point. He's just talking about the fulcrum, like the point at which the scale tips, right? So that's why I really like to call it like it's our center. Mars will help us like recenter. How are we standing in our relationships? And how are we engaging with our enemies and our loved ones? How are we putting energy into more beauty and just like Mars will be a breath of fresh air. And then here's what I sign off on is that idea is to deal with what needs dealing, get grounded in what needs your attention. And you'll know it. That is 100% going to be revealed with this full moon. What needs to be dealt with will need. Because we're going to have, I don't want to go into all of this. I'll save all this other part for the energetic support. I will say, I'm going to sign off with this. Some really, really sweet things. We have all this earth energy, right? The sun's there. So we're going to have the sun trining Jupiter. Like, draw big, sparkly things on September 8th. Because it's a great day. And it's just going to, like, feel that sort of, like, do good, feel good, be good. I subbed kindergarten the other day. And, they have a kindness bucket. And she fills up the bucket. So how are you filling up your own bucket? Do good things. Be a kind person. Be kind to one another. It makes you feel better. So on that full moon day, if you're feeling the feels and you're a little down, you're a little melancholy, first off, know that that's the energy. That's like, we're all under these crazy extreme weather conditions right now. That's it. So have a good cry, but also go do something good for other people. It'll make you feel good, right? And then just don't beat yourself up if you have something that needs to be dealt with. Just start dealing with it. Maybe write it down. And then the next day, maybe write it down again. And maybe for like 20 days, it's always a day one. Somebody told me, like, I've had a lot of day ones. So what? You haven't stopped. So maybe just try to go for day two, and then maybe day three happens, maybe not. But don't put these crazy goals on yourself. Just day by day. Deal with it a little bit at a time. Okay? Okay. I'm going to end there. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes. Okay, so when that full moon shows up, what we need to know comes forward. And it'll come forward again in that new moon, because remember I told you we're going to be integrating into it. And then know that the energy can be transformed, because what will happen at the end of Virgo season is, so the sun's going to trine Jupiter, the sun's going to trine Uranus, and then the sun is going to sextile Neptune, and then the sun is going to trine Pluto. So Virgo season starts with these major signatures, because Mars, Venus, Mercury are all on the same side as the sun right now, on the same side of the sky. The outer planets, Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, Jupiter, and Uranus are on the complete other side. So we're moving into Virgo season with this opposition with Saturn, which is really strong. And what needs to be dealt with is going to be seen. And it's going to be illuminated even more so with the full moon. Okay. And then the moon is going to feel like a little isolated, because it's far away from its home. And it's really engaging with these heavy hitters, these planets that move really, really slowly. But it's going to get some really big messages, and then it's going to bring the messages all the way back to the sun and reset. So listen for what's being revealed to you. Don't get upset or the victim or the pity or the woe is me. Take action. Call a friend. Get a therapist, hire a coach, join a support group. There's so many free groups out there. Find an accountability friend, find a spiritual running buddy, whatever it may be. Show up for yourself every day. Every day, show up for yourself. Deal with what needs to be dealt with, but don't try to bite it all off at once. If you're living with a ton of anxiety, then, Saturn left Aquarius. So hopefully that anxiety settled, and it probably moved more into like depression, because our world changed. So then don't try to figure it out on your own. Just take little steps. And then that way you can integrate it in, because then you'll get insight, right? There'll be this like, I can handle this when the sun trines Jupiter, and you'll feel good and you'll do good things. And then, boop, surprise, the sun trines Uranus. You get this like, I didn't even see that coming, but that's amazing. You have to be willing to see the doors opening for you, and you have to be able to be receptive for that. So if you're all in the bummed out energy, you're going to close yourself off, because this is what you're doing. You're putting this bummed out energy right here, and you can't see past it. So you got to give space. And when you give space, then you can see things more, right? Like, love the disco ball outside reflecting the little flickers of light right now. And then finally, what we'll do is that then the sun will trine Pluto, and it's really going to transform this energy, so that then, when the sun moves into Libra, then we'll be able to really work on those relationships, because we've gotten organized. We've showed up for ourselves. We've been patient, and then we're going to feel like ready to make the world a better place. We're going to be ready to socialize and connect and feel centered along the way. Okay, well, my name is Teresa Phelps Martin. My hope is that you can be real, you can be true, and you can be soulfully. You can be so connected to your essence and aligned with it, and that the cosmic insights just help you understand that you don't have to do it alone. And I appreciate you if you've made it to the end. You're amazing. A big mwah. You're grand to tune in. And if you're tuning in for the first time, thank you so much. And so if you liked, subscribed, comment, let other people know about this, it will just help other people navigate this journey of life, knowing they don't have to do it alone and that you're allowed to, you deserve to. The stars died for you so that you can show up for the bigger picture and the bigger picture of this life. And I'll be with you again. Excuse me, big yawn. I'll be with you again with the Virgo new moon insights so that we can really see what we need to do, what we need to create with what we're discovering. And until then, get healthy, get organized, and know that life unfolds one day at a time.